It's the start of a brand new season, and we head into the new campaign with hope and excitement after a summer of rebuild. Aberdeen travel to Celtic Park for the season opener against Celtic. The Dons come into the game with a 100% win record, having recorded 4 wins from 4 in their Premier Sports League Cup group campaign. Kick-off in Glasgow is just under an hour away. Here's the top of the table after yesterday's opening games. Hearts sitting top, Rangers in second, Hibs in third, having recorded points and victories. And at the bottom, this is where we are. St Johnstone, Ross County and Livingston with opening day defeats. Hi everybody, a very warm welcome to Ali Beg ABTV as we look ahead to today's season opener against the champions Celtic at Celtic Park. If you are a first time watcher, you are more than welcome. Thank you for jumping on. Feel free to subscribe to the channel. We're going to be hearing from the Times sports correspondent Michael Grant very shortly, but there is only one place to start, and that is with the team news. Jim Goodwin has made a couple of changes from our last League Cup group game. So, Mason Hancock, away to Arbroath on loan. In for him comes Hayden Coulson, who I think will slip in at left back to allow Johnny to get more forward. Liam Scales, of course, can't play against his parent club, so I fully expect Ross McCrory to slip into his position today. Dante Palvara comes into the side. I think he'll play just in front of Ramadani with Vicento Beserwin supporting Bojan Miovski up front. Here's the match stats for the game. Doesn't actually make very good reading for Aberdeen coming into this match. It's actually the first time in the SPFL era that Aberdeen and Celtic will play each other on the opening day of the season. The Dons have lost 7 out of their last 8 games at Celtic Park, but more recently, only by small margins. Celtic are unbeaten in their last 17 games against Aberdeen. Absolutely no danger that it's going to be a very difficult game today. Obviously, we played well in our League Cup group stage, but it's obviously with the greatest respect against lower league opposition. So today will be a completely different test. But as I was mentioning yesterday when I was on North Sound 1, that I think if we head into this game with confidence, knowing it's 11 against 11 on the pitch, who's got the bigger heart? Who has the determination to get on the ball, to make things happen? There is absolutely no reason why we can't come away from Celtic Park with something from today's game, which would put us in fantastic stead with very interesting next league games coming up, where potentially we could pick up lots of points. So I say, as the manager said as well, no fear going into this game. Okay, if you'd like to get on touch on YouTube, please do leave your comment. I will get to them in just a moment. But first of all, let's hear the thoughts of the Times sports correspondent Michael Grant, who also wrote the magnificent Fergie Rises. He recently caught up with Jim Goodwin. I'm sure you read it. It was a fascinating interview. Also, he really was able to capture the human side of Jim Goodwin, and we opened our chat by talking about that. Michael Grant, I spoke to him on Friday night. Hi Michael, it's great to see you. Thank you for jumping on today because I know how busy you are. I'd like to talk to you first of all about the article, the interview with Jim Goodwin, which is an exceptional read. I think the way that you've been able to capture the human side of the manager, I found particularly interesting. And I'm hearing from people that I know that he's down at Pittodrie all the time. When he finishes at Cormac Park, he goes straight down to Pittodrie. He's in and around the halls, he's in the offices, he's getting to know everybody. He's on first term basis with everybody, which is also fantastic. It kind of reminds me of someone that we know quite well from a few years ago. Obviously, I don't want to make that comparison, but there's some really good signs there, aren't there?
Yeah, there are. I found it really interesting. I didn't know Jim before coming up to see him and doing the interview. And to be honest, Ali, I wasn't sure how much I would get out of him. And I mean that only because kind of working, active managers tend to be quite controlled and guarded in what they say, and just it's all nice and it's measured, but you don't really feel like you're getting under the skin, And Jim is a very, very capable operator in the media. He knows what to say, and he doesn't say more than he wants to. But you've been very kind about the interview. I was very pleased with it. I thought he did talk about things that were interesting. He talked about his interest in politics and current affairs, and music and classical music, which I think probably surprised us both that he's into that. And he's talked before about his time doing kind of van driving and stuff like that, but I thought it kind of tied up, So I was really pleased, and as an Aberdeen fan, I found him impressive, and I do find him impressive. And one thing, Ali, I had said to him, actually, because he addressed this kind of obviously the kind of the cull of the players and the squad from last season, and I think a few of us were kind of wondering whether it was handled properly or well, or could have been done a bit better, and the results at the tail end of the last season weren't good. And I actually said to him, the one thing that I think most fans were anxious about wasn't getting rid of players, but the recruitment. And so far, touch wood, the recruitment looks really solid.
I have to say, I've been hugely impressed by Stephen Gunn and the board as a whole, who have really pulled out all stops to get the quality of player from MTK, Budapest and beyond. Ramadani for me looks like a player. Miovski for me looks like a player. I've been hugely impressed. Have you?
Yeah, totally. I've been to the Peterhead and Stirling games. I couldn't go to the 2 home games, but watched them on Red TV. And I mean, the only caveat is, the opposition is not the highest standard yet.
Yeah.
But having said that, it looks to me like there's loads of energy and speed in the team. The defence looks more solid, and there's certainly been spells when they've been able to control the ball and dominate. They've dominated all 4 games, really. Maybe a little bit patchy against Wraith, but I think for a new team that's kind of been thrown together, hugely encouraging so far in the 4 group games.
Yeah, I agree with you. Obviously, with no disrespect due to the teams that we played in the League Cup, Celtic is a completely different kettle of fish. We all know what we're going to get from Celtic. But I do think that this game will give us a good indication of potentially where we could be this season.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think not to write the game off at all, because Jim Goodwin said he's not writing it off. He went there and won with St Mirren a couple of years ago, and he's looking at his team now being far stronger. But I think as long as Aberdeen are competitive on Sunday, even a narrow defeat, you can accept that quite come. You can accept that. But if they complete well on Sunday, they've then got a good run of games, an encouraging run of fixtures, I think. Now we got into this danger last year of looking at fixtures and thinking, well, these are all winnable, and it just never happened. It never took off. But, we're entitled as fans to think that way. And I think there's a good run of games. I think it's 5 league games that are all individually winnable, and the Annan League Cup game winnable, more than winnable. And then you think, well, you're really getting the bedrock now of a good first half of the season if you pick up those points.
I must admit, I'm quietly confident about the season, but I was also quietly confident about last season. And I still sort of, at the back of my mind, I still just have that little niggle to say, don't get overly excited. Let's just let this bed in, let the whole natural progression of the team just take its natural course. So are we right to be guarded?
Yeah. Oh, totally, yeah. I mean, I think, we've all probably been in the same boat over the last few days of really getting quite worked up about the season and what could come. And then you think, well, we've only won a League Cup group game stage. I mean, I think Dundee came through their stage with 4 wins as well, so, and nobody's shouting and bawling about Dundee. So, but I do like the look of a lot of the players that they've signed, and I think there's pace in the team, which I really like, and I think he's got quality in the two players you mentioned from Budapest, that have come from Budapest. Certainly Ramadani looks excellent, and first impressions of Miovski, and Miovski was the one that Goodwin said to me, he's a class apart.
Yeah. Okay, brilliant. Michael, thank you so much for spending some time with me today. Enjoy the game, and we shall catch up very soon.
No bother, Ali. All the best,
Lovely to
mate.
see you. Take care. Bye bye. Here's a couple of other headlines that caught my attention the past 48 hours or so. The Press and Journal Evening Express in Aberdeen, quoting the boss here, he issues a no fear rallying cry ahead of the Premiership opener at Celtic. Aberdeen Live, if you get a chance to check them out, please do. They've always got magnificent stories about the football club. Johnny Hayes says Aberdeen's season won't be defined by the opening weeks. I actually couldn't agree more. We'll get the manager quotes in just a moment, but so many of you coming on YouTube. Hi, how you doing? Thank you for getting in touch. Eagle Owl, hi. 17 games unbeaten against us. Well, these records have to be broken at some point. They absolutely do. Michael Scott, good afternoon. How are you, Michael? All feels like we are starting as a complete unknown quantity. Excited and nervous at the same time. Don't know what to expect at all. Good football would be a huge step. Completely agree. John Bleasdale, how you doing, John? Pressure off us today. Don't fear the opposition, and we have a chance. Agreed. And Kevin Turner, hi Kevin. We are all buzzing with a Dons win, but a fighting, spirited performance would be most welcome. Completely agree. So, what did the manager say in his pre-match press conference? I beg your pardon. He said, we need a vast improvement on what happened last season. Our main objective this year is to get back into the European competitions next season and to qualify for those kind of games. We need to finish at least in the top 4 places in the league. He went on to say it's up to us to try and quiet the fans and get off to a good start and really impose ourselves on Celtic from the first whistle. My lads are going into the game in a really good place mentally off the back of some good performances in the League Cup. As always, Jim coming out and really talking up a good game for us. Just let me get some more of your reaction because I posted earlier today on Facebook and there was a lot of really interesting comments coming in. Some of you actually saying that today's game, of course it matters, but if we put in a spirited performance and even came away with a narrow defeat, it wouldn't be the end of the world. Just let me read a couple of your comments here. So Enrico Tortolano, how you doing? He said, my concern is that we didn't manage to play stiffer opposition during pre-season. You certainly have a point. Let's see. Phil Hay says, hope Dons fans don't get too carried away before today's game. Our season won't be based on how many points we get away at Celtic in the league. In a one-off cup game, we must be able to compete, but let's not focus too much on league matches away at the champions. Personally, I think this is a wee bit of a free hit for Jim Goodwin. Any positive result will be huge, but even a decent performance but a narrow loss isn't bad. Key fixtures for us this season are against Hearts, Dundee United, Hibs, and Motherwell, where the points really matter over this season. Actually, I have to say, I do agree. Guys, it's a short but sweet show today. Thank you so much for getting in touch on YouTube. Thank you so much for watching, considering we're competing against a national broadcaster as well. It's great to see you. If you're watching for the very first time, please feel free to subscribe. All that's left to say is the very best of luck to the Dons today. I really hope we can get something out of the game to send a positive message going forward, and look out for a very special brand new Beggs Banter interview coming this week with an Aberdeen legend. Guys, thank you. It's lovely to see you all, and I'll see you in the next couple of days. Come on the Reds.